Today I'm going to be watching this video. It's called My German Flat vs American Apartment. So I like to watch comparisons between countries, between Germany and other countries, people's experiences in Germany that come from other countries. This is an interesting concept with regards to that, looking at the differences between homes in Germany and America. Really interested to see how they differ. Tell me what you think about this video being German. Tell me more about German houses and maybe anything that's unique to a German home compared to those in other countries. Let's watch.
Hey guys, come on in. Thanks for coming back to my channel and welcome to my apartment. I thought that it would be cool if I showed you guys what my apartment in Germany is like and point out some of the differences I've noticed between your standard German apartment and your standard American apartment. And the first thing I'll say is that a lot of Germans learn English from British instructors, and the Brits call their apartments flats. And so a German, when speaking English, will often refer to their apartment as a flat, whereas we call them apartments.
I mean, that's good. That's interesting straight away. I never actually knew that was a thing. I never knew you called it flats in Germany. Of course, the title says that there. I just never really thought it came from the British English. We do call it flats. I now live in Malaysia. They just call it apartments, condos. They never call it flats. So pretty cool that in Germany you call it that too. Is there a German word for this type of property? Like a flat, an apartment is like a German version?
So when you first walk into your standard German apartment, you'll notice a bunch of shoes on the ground. And that's basically because when a German comes home, they'll arrive, they'll take off their shoes, and they'll put on what they call house shoes, or basically just slippers. So that way they're not tracking in any mud or dirt or anything from outside and into their house. And that's pretty cool, but I thought it was a little weird whenever I went to a German apartment for like a party, and I was expected to bring my own house shoes. Sometimes the host will provide house shoes if they have enough, depending on the size of the party. But yeah, I had to bring my own house shoes, and when I got there, I was expected to take off my shoes and put on slippers to then socialize with everyone, which I thought was pretty strange. All right.
Yeah, is that the case every time? What happens? Does anybody ever walk into your house and just keep their shoes on? Being from Britain, we generally keep shoes on in the house. I don't do it anymore. I've lived in Asia for a long time, over a decade, and wearing a shoe even an inch inside a house is like a definite no-no. It's unacceptable. So now I've been conditioned to never wear my shoes inside a house, no matter what country I am in, no matter where I am. But to actually change into slippers, I've never heard that happen in Asia. Generally people just go barefoot here in Asia. So do you have like a large collection of slippers in your house? If you're having parties, do you ever take your own slippers to other people's homes? I guess that's quite cool as well.
All right, let's go into the kitchen. So German kitchens to me are really different, primarily because Germans actually move their kitchens, which I know it sounds crazy. So I never really understood why, when I went into IKEA in America, why there was like this huge section dedicated to kitchens. Like, how many people are getting their houses built and needing to buy cabinets and counters and whatever for the house? And then I moved to Germany and found out that Germans will go and buy their own kitchen, install it into their apartment or their flat, and then will actually, if they're moving, will deinstall that kitchen, take it with them, reformat it, because obviously not every kitchen is shaped exactly the same, and then they will reinstall it. Now, obviously there's exceptions to this. Some Germans will be able to sell their kitchen to their landlord or maybe the person that's taking over the lease after them, but for the most part, they move their kitchen with them. Another different thing.
That one I have never heard of in my life. I never knew that was a thing. You could dismantle your kitchen and take it somewhere else. Generally in the UK, where you rent a property, you wouldn't really renovate the kitchen. It will just be as it is from the landlord and you keep it that way. So when you move out, you don't have to do anything like that. If you buy a property, yeah, maybe you'll buy your own kitchen, but if you sell that property, generally you'll just keep that in there. I've never heard of moving your full kitchen. Is that something you did? Is that not just a lot of hassle to do? Is it only in rental properties, or is that when you buy a property as well? tell me the experience. Is that not quite stressful to do when you're trying to move everything else, then trying to dismantle a kitchen and move that too?
Thing is that their refrigerators are drastically smaller than ours, and it's kind of hard to show you on this video without doing a side-by-side comparison, but if you think about it, I'm 5'7", and this is the top of my shoulder, and this is the top of the fridge. So my shoulder is actually above the height of the fridge, and the freezer is pretty small too. Another thing is their dishwasher. So water in Germany is like really, really, really hard. If I remember correctly, when I looked it up, our hardest water is still like 10 times softer than Germans' softest water. That's how hard their water is. So because of their hard water, Germans will actually add additives into their dishwasher to soften the water and make sure that it doesn't create this like film or calcium like buildup or residue on their dishes. Another thing is that
So is that something that happens? I thought German drinking water or tap water was safe to drink, but does that affect it in any way? I'm not really a water expert, so I don't really know how the difference between hard and soft water. In Scotland, the water we just drink it and it's tasty. It can be used to clean things, so I've never really considered it too much, but sounds like it leaves a residue. That's quite interesting in itself. Is that just certain regions or certain areas that happens? Does it vary by region?
I have never seen a Keurig for the entire time that I've been in Germany. I don't know if they're here or not, but I've never seen one. But I have seen coffee appliances from other brands. So Tassimo is a popular brand that you'll see in Germany, and so is Nespresso, and there's a bunch of other ones. But I've never seen a Keurig here, which is kind of interesting because I feel like Keurig just like took over America.
I've never even heard of that before.
All right, I think that's all for the kitchen, so let's move to the bathroom. So as I walk into the bathroom, the first thing I'll point out is the toilet. So they don't have handles to flush their toilets. What they have are buttons, and usually there's 2 of them. And as I always say, the bigger the button, the bigger the flush. And you'll also notice that there isn't that top part to the toilet that we have, and that's because it's like inside the wall there. And the toilet doesn't sit on the ground, it's basically just floating in the air there. Also, a lot of German flats will have their washer and dryer inside their bathroom. So another different...
Yeah, that one about the washer and dryer, I think that's the biggest difference between somewhere like Germany, and I know that happens in other European countries, and Britain, because in Britain our washing machine's in our kitchen. I'm pretty sure Germans and other Europeans would think that's disgusting, like you're washing your clothes where you do your cooking. It kind of makes more sense to have it in the bathroom where you're doing all that business. But yeah, what do you think about British people having a washing machine in the kitchen? Is that weird?
So another different thing is that they have these cool heaters inside their bathrooms, which are basically like towel rack shaped heaters. So when you turn it on, not only is it heating up the bathroom, but it's also warming up your towel, which is pretty awesome when you're getting out of the shower. What is not awesome though is that, again, because of this hard water thing, if you have a shower like this where it's like this glass wall, you are going to have to squeegee every single time you get out of the shower. And it drives me crazy because like it's just another step I have to take when I'm getting ready in the morning is to squeegee down the shower. And if you don't squeegee down the shower, you get these really bad hard water stains on your glass, and it takes kind of like a lot of effort to wash them off. All right, I think that's all for the bathroom. Let's head to the bedroom. And I'm sorry my place isn't as clean as it probably should be for this apartment tour, but truth be told, I don't really care. So the first thing I always notice about a German bedroom or their hotel rooms, a lot of times, they have these 2 mattresses that lay next to each other to make up, this is basically like a queen size bed. And if you notice, those are actually 2 different blankets too. And when I moved in with my boyfriend, I thought it was like really weird. It seemed like, I was like, what is this, the 50s? We can't sleep in the same bed together. And I've grown to love it. It is awesome. I sleep so well, and I think it's just like the better way, because if you think about it, it's not exactly natural to sleep right next to someone and be able to get like super restful sleep because maybe they move or are making noise or whatever. But for some reason, having this like defined sleeping space for yourself, you get like way better sleep. So if
that kind of makes sense, and that for me and my personal experience is even more extreme. I actually sleep in a different room to my wife. Here in Malaysia, it gets like really warm during the night, but I prefer warmness. I don't really like aircon. I get too cold during the night. My wife loves aircon, loves having the fan on, likes to be freezing cold. So we are like completely opposites of the temperature spectrum for sleeping. So we actually sleep in a different bedroom, and it's just perfect. It works. We can both have our own climate that we enjoy. Of course, sometimes we'll share a room and stuff like that, but most of the time it's like separate, and it just works. We both get a great sleep. We're both comfortable. It works. Tell me if you ever did that, ever tried that yourself.
If you look behind me, you'll notice that this is like a wardrobe. And again, it looks similar to IKEA, right? What you'd see in IKEA. And that's because Germans, they don't have closets. They don't do the closet thing. So you basically have to go and buy wardrobes from furniture stores if you want to be able to hang up your clothes, because there are no other options. There are no closets. Another thing I'll point out in here are the windows, and I think they're pretty cool. I've heard that a lot of Americans think that the German windows are super fascinating. So this isn't a window, I mean this is a door, but it's the same mechanism. So you can either open it completely, right? Or you can bring the handle up and it'll just, as I call it the German way of opening. So
that's the same in the UK.
I don't really know
well.
like what a proper term for it should be, but basically it just tilts the glass away from the wall, and so you get some air flow without opening the entire window or door.
Yeah, very good.
I think it's pretty cool. All right, let's go into, oh, one more thing. So their light switches are different. Instead of having like the actual like switch looking things that we have, they have basically square buttons as their switches. And they also don't really have doorknobs. I don't think I've ever seen a doorknob in Germany. They mostly have door handles. This is what I'm used to seeing all throughout Germany.
I've never seen a doorknob on a house actually.
Let's go into the living room. So the furniture in here I think is pretty standard. Again, it looks like something you'd see in IKEA, and I'm sure any German hearing me say this all is probably really annoyed. Like, IKEA is not the only furniture store, and I got that. But I just think IKEA resonates really well with your average American because it describes the style of furniture it is, not so much the quality. So as I mentioned, there's not a lot of closets. There aren't a lot of like built-in storage in German houses and apartments. And so they'll buy furniture that's much more functional than I think what the average American has in their home, so that they can like get the storage they need out of the furniture. The other thing I'll point out in here is the heater. So when you look at the heater, I always think it looks like this old school, again, like throwback to the 1950s style heater. They don't have like central air here like we do in most of your new houses in America. They have these heaters, and actually they don't have air conditioning. I've never seen a house or an apartment with air conditioning. They rely on opening the windows and using the curtains and the shades and the blinds to basically keep their house cool in like a more natural way instead of using air conditioning. And then again, with the heaters, they have these like vents, and it doesn't really create a lot of airflow. And so Germans will, and there's a term for it, but I just don't know it, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to pronounce it right, where they open up all of their windows for a certain amount of time to just basically like air out the house or the apartment to get any moisture out and make sure that no mold starts growing. And the last thing I'll show you in here is the blinds. So most German houses and apartments will have these roll down blinds that are basically on the outside of the window. And I did this, it's an electronic function, and so it's rolling it down itself. I don't think this is anything particularly fancy. It's pretty much standard. Maybe it's not electronic, maybe you have to manually roll it down like I did in my old apartment. But for the most part, their blinds are on the outside of the window, and they're shaped like this instead of ours, which are on the inside usually, and they have like that standard slatting type design where you can like open them and close them. All right guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I guess like there's a lot of similarities between German homes or German flats and British flats, not just in the name but also in the functionality as well. I mean, apart from those electric shutters, that's what I need, man. When I sleep, not only do I need like a certain temperature, I need it to be like pitch black, no light. I can kind of get that with curtains and stuff, but those electric blinds are just the best, man. I would do anything for them. But very interesting. Tell me how relatable this flat is? Does the place you live in Germany, does it differ to this in any way, or differ a lot in any respect? And yeah, just tell me if this is like a standard German flat, or is anything this in this unique to this place as well. Tell me how it compares to the American one in your opinion. Thanks.